So we're live now. This is the first episode of podcast that I'm starting out. Not sure the title yet, but we're gonna call it Talking Grown Man Shit. That's what we're gonna talk. We're gonna start it off with that. The title may change, but this is the first episode of that podcast. Anyway, my first guest is Danny Taylor, and for transparency, he's a very good friend of mine. We grew up together in Queensbridge, and we go way back. He's my brother from another mother, for real. And I thought it was appropriate for him to be my first guest, and especially because a lot of topics that we'll be talking about on this show will be about communities, especially my community that I grew up in and other communities. And this is going to be a very political a podcast, and also I hope it to be educational. I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't know everything, but I do know a lot of things. So we're going to cover a lot of stuff. So Danny, let's get started. You was working on a project, and you've been working on it for some time that pertains to Queensbridge and its recreational facilities. And one of the facilities we had as a kid that somehow is not available anymore. It's all twisted. It's all messed up. So I'm gonna let you discuss it. And like I said, you can see the first page on your PowerPoint presentation. You can see it, right?
Yes.
Okay. So.
All right. So look, so you do see the title. Hold on a second. Okay. I guess something that blocks it. But anyway, the title is Queensbridge Park Restoration. Queensbridge Park Restoration. So I in order to really truly understand this, I did try to get pictures of the park that I'm specifically talking about, which is for us was, growing up was called the Baby Park. It's a lot different than the Queensbridge Park. For most things, Queensbridge Park had like baseball. It just was a wide open space, but the Baby Park was specific to the children of Queensbridge. It had swings, it had sandboxes, it had sliding ponds, it had a whole lot of stuff in there. But in addition to that, it also had basketball courts for the older kids and a handball court. What drew me to try to find out what happened to this park was I was watching like a New York One News when they do a New Yorker of the Week or whatever segment, and they had this young girl on there who had lost a brother, I guess, to gang violence or whatever, and he used to love handball. So she did this special thing out in her way for the kids, teaching kids how to play handball. And it made me realize that none of the kids in Queensbridge, the younger generation, probably even knows how to play handball. And we have these two handball courts that sits on what is called Queensbridge Way, but it's right outside
that's that street. That's the long street that actually connects Vernon Boulevard and
21st Street.
21st Street and 41st side of 12th Street. There's a long.
Right, but I obtained the blueprints. I did a lot of research on this. I obtained the blueprints. Queensbridge Way actually begins. You're right on 21st Street, but it goes all the way down to Vernon, across Vernon into Queensbridge Park, and goes all the way around and comes out the other side over there by the Con Ed plant. It kind of ends there. So it's a long way. It's maybe a mile or so. I guess that's about of this trail, so to speak. But on the side of the trail lies Queensbridge, the housing development on one side, Well, on the other side is a park. That's owned by the New York City Parks Department, right? So it's still technically a park, as blueprints go. But some years ago, something happened, like you said, where they decided that that park was no longer viable to them, I guess. They're not really considering how viable it was for us. So they started doing things like putting construction stuff there. My journey with this, like I said, happened almost like over 5 years, maybe 6 years ago. And when I saw that special report about the young lady in the handball. And so when I started out, I started taking like a survey. We did a petition, so to speak, of people that would like to see that park returned. So we got these signatures. We got a whole lot of them. Everybody that knew that park signed this petition. Mostly, the older generations. Some middle generations too. Not so old, but quite a few people signed the petition. Long story short, and that petition I eventually was presented to our city council person about wanting something to be done with that park. Like throughout the whole city, you might see a lot of parks have been renovated, a lot of promenades have been upgraded, but there was a whole lot of capital funding going on to do parks, right? But somehow this park area was being neglected. None of that money. We did Queens Plaza, and at some point we were supposed to be included in the renovation of that Queens Plaza when they did the bikeways and everything over there, but it stopped dead track on 21st Street. It never crossed over to us. So, and I'm tracking money.
Want me to move through some of these slides? Just let me know.
Yeah. So this was the proposal, right? You could go to the next one, I guess. That's my nephew up there. He's a rapper, but he had made this sort of thing. He's on one of the roofs looking over at Queens Bridge, the bridge itself, and below it is the park. So you can go next.
Position that.
Huh?
Where's this picture taken at?
It's on Vernon, 41 side, his sister's building, which is, I want to say,
on the roof.
He's on the roof, the new roof, the new roofs.
Okay.
This is not too long after they renovated them.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's that picture. I just thought that was a nice background too, and it says something I'm not quite able to see what the wording is.
Yeah, it's a little. It says new visions of a Queensbridge children playground handball.
Okay. Yes.
Run.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so you can go to the next one. So to start out, right, I showed you this path, right?
Back memories. This brings back so much memory.
This is Queensbridge Way, right? And like I was saying, on one side you can't see the park on the facing us on the left side, but on the right side you can see Queensbridge itself. And in the middle is this greenland, right? This greenland's been there, I don't know how long, but as long as I've known this park, that greenland has still been there. I used to golf when I learned how to golf on that little greenland there. It's the putt and all that stuff. On that land, there's a lot of things. On the path, we used to learn how to actually roller skate, ride our bikes when our parents used to take us back there.
When we was kids, it looked so much bigger.
Yeah, it did. And it was better looking. It was more kept.
Yeah.
They used to treat the trees, and the trees was blooming and stuff. A lot of that has been neglected. Next slide. What it says. So this is another picture. I was pretty much wanting to focus on the other side, but you really can't really see it. But over there is really like a parking lot, and then right after that is the handbook. You'll get to it though. Next slide.
I see right now, they don't even take care of the grass there no more or nothing.
Now, when they did the rules, they destroyed the grass. They put some of it back, but now they put up some sort of trailer construction over there. I don't know what they're doing, but it's a trailer. But I'm gonna get to something. So this is the handball court, right?
Yeah.
That I was talking about. That's not really, that's under the. Just so happened this guy, when this picture was taken, and I have to give credit to Eric Cooper because I kind of charged him with the responsibility of getting some of these pictures of this area, right? And he's a well-known resident of Queensbridge. We call him a Queensbridge photographer. So he caught this guy using the handball court to kick a soccer ball, which is not what we grew up doing. But I'm sure, like, hey, you know, culturally, we could live with it, right? At least it's being utilized by this one individual, right? But before, back in the days, when I say back in the days, I'm saying 60s and some of the 70s. This place used to be so crowded, you had to call next to get a turn to play handball court.
Right.
Like, this is where we were, this is where we hung out at, and this is what we was doing. We wasn't in games, we wasn't shooting each other up. We was sitting out here playing this game called handball or paddleball and not getting into a lot of trouble. You know, so there is some correlation there. That's why I'm bringing that up. Where we was able
to play stickball. We would draw
right.
a hitting box on there, and we chalk it up. So when we threw the balls, you know, guy would get up there and bat, and we always knew if we hit the spot, because it would get chalked.
Have you mind also that there was nothing. This wall, right? There was nothing there to stop your ball from going over it. And on the other side of that is a train track. Is where the I believe it's the R. These days it used to be double R when we was back then. That goes into the tunnel that goes to 59th Street. So that's kind of what's on the other side of that wall. Is this train gets ready to go into the tunnel.
And that's actually the bridge that's your background right now.
Right.
But the court is actually under the bridge. Your background is the same bridge. Is that handball court is actually like almost directly under the bridge.
It's under. And funny you should mention that, because I'm gonna get to that real quick. I just want to get through these slides, and I'm gonna tell you what happened when I submitted this. So this, look, I said abandoned and underutilized, right? So that's the name of that slide. Next slide is.
Next slide.
Mm-hmm. All right. So if you can see, right, you see really to the far left there's like a green canister. Well, all that is like what you call those things, dumpsters that they put over there. And what used to be there used to be that, what they call that, Alan? Bocce ball or something that the Italians, because remember, when we moved.
I was to ask you what used to be there.
Yeah, when we moved there as children, our parents moved there. My father was a veteran. He came into Queensbridge, used to be for veterans and stuff like that. He was World War II. That's how he got into Queensbridge back then. But back then it was mostly like Italians and Jewish people that was out in Queensbridge. We were the minorities back then, and they used to have this bocce court over there where I don't know if anybody knows that sport. And it ain't a bad sport. They used to keep them busy. Where they throw a ball, it's like a little dirt thing, and they throw a ball, a little round ball, look like a little bowling ball.
Yeah, I
and
know
they try to.
I know about
and they used to try to. Yeah, so that's what was there, but they paid that over, and that's where they made the parking lot.
Is it still a parking lot?
Yeah, it's still a parking lot, but part of it and the end of it, I wouldn't park my car back there for nothing, because back on the side, you know, they got these dumpsters where they put in like recyclable junk, you know, tires. It's just terrible. And that's just in there, and it's like all over this area. Next slide, Al. Okay, that's just I was trying to give you the view of those garbage dumpsters that's right next to the handball court, which is, you know, so we're talking maybe roach infested, rat infested kind of stuff that's going on there. All right, so it's really not a good place to be. Right now as a playground for anybody. Next slide. And I want you to know I never got an opportunity to present this to these people. Only I was able to submit this, but I couldn't present it like I'm doing to you. So I go here, a vision, okay, to rebuild this. These are like kind of like you said, political people, Queensbridge. I always forget the name. The Queensbridge Friends of Queensbridge Park is there. Council persons are there, and this was a meeting that they had when they was talking about rebuilding the park promenade, right? Because it had fell into the river. So these are people that they was breaking ground that day to fix up that promenade, which they did a really good job with it. But that's all that ever happened. But these are significant people,
So these are the people that's supposed to be responsible for fixing, for beautifying, well, fixing up Queensbridge. Period. That's
so if you wanted anything to happen in this kind of category that I'm talking about, these are people. You have April. You had some of these people have passed, right? You got April was the president of the association at that time, April Simpson. You got Kathy Nolan there. You got
you got the councilman,
Ma Jeffries, right? You got Kauferman. You got the Congressman Generis,
a state senator or something.
Yeah, he's a Senator Generis, and so these are people that those petitions kind of went to. Not so much the residents, but the politicians, so to speak. And I'm not sure who the guy, but one of them I believe is the parks commissioner at that time. Next slide, Al. So this is the actual greenway I was talking about from an aerial view.
Yeah.
And you can see how it goes like from here into Queensbridge Park. And if you zoom in on it, it says what I told you, Queensbridge Park Greenway is the name of that. This is a blueprint. And that's what it says. This is Vernon Boulevard, but I was just trying to show you how the Greenway goes right down from 21st Street through that area and goes all the way through the park.
That street, I never knew that area had a name. I never knew that had a name.
Well, I didn't too until I did this and went in there and got these blueprints and figure out what the hell, because I really was just focusing on seeing if I could find something that said Baby Park. And as you can see, the Epcot's bridge is there, but look, right there you see, like, I don't know if you can see how there's a little thing that says Queensbridge Baby Park.
Yeah, right there.
So I actually got blueprints that recognized it, that it used to exist, because, in the beginning, they was like trying to act like I was talking outside, like, what are you talking about? It's pretty much a dump. So, and the bridge, you can't see under it, but the park was, like you said, directly underneath they call it Epcot's Bridge, but we called it the Queensboro Bridge, 59th Street Bridge. We didn't call it Epcot's.
Sure.
All right, next slide. All right, so I went from there, right, into the vision, right, which is trying to find these I forgot the word, but these friendly things that they have for safety wise, that we can get that focuses on, say, like we used to have a number of seesaws, but they was a little dangerous. They made of wood, you can get thrown off of them. And
yeah, I remember you get hurt real bad in the Baby Park too.
Because if your parent wasn't watching you, you could get hurt up. And I came out with quite a few bruises myself. But anyway, these are some newest stuff, safety, specifically geared to be safe. Like they got one chair for like handicap. They got another one for the regular babies that they can sit in. One for handicapped people, then another one that's for bigger people that can just sit there and be responsible. Little swingy side things. But anyway, next slide. There was a bunch of them that I submitted as ideas. I focused on that handicap thing.
You went deep. You went into what equipment you would like to see there and everything.
Ain't no doubt. When you see this, go ahead, keep going.
Next slide.
Yeah, keep going. Because that's the swing.
Yeah.
That's a baby in the swing, right? Keep going.
Yeah.
The next slide is an actual play. That's a playground, right? So I took this playground that said this could go there. Now, in this process, like I said, I got some kickback from the city, Parks Department, everything. there was some dispute on who owned what, and NYCHA owned something, and Parks Department, there was nobody wanting to claim responsibility for the cleanup. I also, when I submitted the petition, it was submitted to the Parks Commissioner, and I had someone from the City Planning Committee contact me. But anyway, in that process, they told me the Parks Commissioner said that they would never build a park for children under that bridge, because it's under the bridge, the soil is contaminated because they painted the bridge, it had lead paint. He gave me this line, right? And I said, oh, really? So you're saying that it's contaminated, right? So this is giving me an excuse why they wouldn't do this, right? But I know for a fact that there's a whole lot of parks under bridges, right? There's one under the Tribal Bridge, there's one under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Yeah, that's right.
Parks,
that's right.
There's parks everywhere.
That's right.
So I was very suspicious of his rationale, but then I went in and I told them, well, if that is true, then why do you still allow people to walk back there? Children still play around that area. Why do you allow that if that is true, if it's contaminated? Why haven't you fenced it off, put up warning signs, and hired some sledge fund, got some sledge fund and hired some people to clean it up? Because, what are you saying? If it's contaminated, y'all did it. The city did it. You painted the bridge. You did it. So all of a sudden I got cut off as far as communication. No one was responding to me, my calls. That was the end of that negotiation, right? This PowerPoint still existed though. And fast forward, new park commissioner, right? So new opportunities. You liking the park, right?
Dog park into it too.
Yeah. So one of the things that came out of we've had quite a few meetings with the community, right? A lot of the residents wanted dog parks because they're now getting fines for your dog, shitting everywhere, and all this. So people are getting fines, and they say, well, there's no real place. You can't put them in the grass because you get a fine for that, So most communities, that people have, I guess, money or whatever, they have parks like this, but they have these dog parks. So I put that in the picture as something that we need in our community.
That should be there too. There's enough room.
Yeah, let me tell you, they addressed, they kind of, I'm talking about another administration came along, right? So they tried to negotiate with me. They said that we couldn't have everything that's on the other side of that handball court going towards Vernon, because it belongs to the Parks Department, and this compound program they have over there, which is a greens program. They plant trees and they, it's called the compound, right? So that's on that side, just before you hit Vernon and all that. That's over there. It's all compounds. Kind of smells and looks gross out sometimes because it's nothing but dirt and manure and dead trees. It's a whole lot of stuff that they did there that I didn't understand, but and it just didn't seem still not healthy for the community, right? But they was trying not to give us that, and they tried to sell me a bill of goods where they'll say they'll give up the very end of the park, which is right off of 21st Street where the ramp goes up on the upper level. There's a little spot, it's still empty to this day, but there's a reason why it's empty, because they used to use that to store the train tracks that they tore up, or there used to be wood stuff there, and it was just stacked there. All kind of stuff related to transit was used in there and stacked in there. And they tried to talk about when we get in that it's a little square that they'll give me that as a compromise for the baby park. And I was like, that thing ain't fit for nothing but a dog. And I said, you can give me that for our dog park. It'd be perfect for that, but it ain't perfect for no kids because you got the ramp bridge. People going over the bridge could throw stuff into that little park or whatever. You got the trains like right there. I said, no. I said, if anything, you can move that park that I showed you, you can move it into the greenway and in that middle section that's all green. That'd be a perfect spot for it. And you could still have everything from the handball courts to Vernon, but let us have our handball courts. Let's renovate that. Alan, keep going for a second. I don't know if I submitted that. I had another PowerPoint. Like I kind of revised this one. So I don't know if I put that in there, but is this the last slide right there?
Huh?
Is that the last slide?
Yeah, that's the last slide. Yeah, that's the last slide. This last slide.
Yeah, so there's another PowerPoint I gotta go find because I was focusing more on that park, right? These are all suggestions, but there's another one where I put in some more suggestions. I put in an amphitheater that could be built there where we can do cultural things. I put in a sports program, like a area where people, could do exercises. Because back then they were all into this addressing obesity in the kids and stuff. And so I had used that and showed how we could start programs in there where we could have, exercises. People were working out. They had like old people on mats and instructor and stuff like that. The amphitheater was just a thing that had some seats that sunk down into the middle, wooden seats you could sit on, and in the middle was a little stage, that you could have performances, right? So I tried to get real arts and cultural and physical with this, right? But that's when they started kicking back saying I can't have it because it's contaminated. And I kind of backed off with that PowerPoint, but I'm gonna try to locate it maybe for a future follow-up or something. And I'll show you. I also put in that PowerPoint. I started out with saying the making of a wasteland. And I showed how they just totally destroyed that park and made it into a dump, right? And there was a lot of stuff that
that's another PowerPoint?
That's another one I have. Okay. That's how it starts, the making of a wasteland. And then I got into this part of it as far as trying to renovate that and clean that up, But I showed the how the park,
Well, Dave, real quick, let's talk about what's going to be happening moving forward, because
right, yeah. So look, they had several informational meetings. For me, this will be making the third or fourth one, where they came out here to Queensbridge and they had this meeting in the center with the community, and they asked for ideas of what they would like to see happen in that area, right? Like they was going to do something. So I'm gonna skip two of them and say last year they came out here just before the pandemic, or maybe pandemic was just kicking off, but they had one of those what they call input meetings inside the center. And at that meeting, they was talking about how they allocated $1 million to try to renovate the park, right? To restore it. And I was all excited. I brought up my PowerPoint again. We talked. I followed up with some people, representatives from them. I got names and stuff, and I got emails. I followed up with them later on to find out what happened because it got silent. The lady got back to me, said that they're collecting, all the ideas, and they just trying to put it together to come up with a compromise of what we're going to do, a plan. I mean, this is what I was told over a year ago. So I was walking in my building about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, maybe a month, and I see these things on the wall talking about they're having another input meeting in the center to talk about ideas for the baby park. And it kind of disturbed me. And I was like, wait a minute, what happened to the first one that we just did? Well, I'm saying first because this group was the first time that it seemed organized like that, right? And so they, I started emailing the person from the previous one, got no response. I'm emailing the person that's running this one. I finally got a response from somebody that knows nothing about what happened prior. So the only question I have for them, I educate them like I'm educating y'all right now, is that there was some stuff that was done over 5 years ago and some promises that was made that was never fulfilled, right? And there was a whole bunch of ideas that came out of it. Part of it is in some of this presentation that you see this in the PowerPoint. These were not all just my ideas. Some of it came out of when we did the petition, when we did the meetings in the center. Some people came up with these ideas. And so I just went with it, and put like visions on it, like this new park and these new ideas. So anyway, these people don't know nothing about it. The new ones that's going to happen actually tomorrow. They were supposed to happen about a month ago, but they canceled it. No reason given. They just canceled it, and they sent me a notice saying that it was canceled. I don't know. Hopefully, it's not canceled tomorrow. But I've been in touch with them, and I've been letting them know, like, why are we still having input meetings instead of actual implementation meetings, like put plans that we've already suggested into action. Why are we still meeting and input? And then I asked the big question is what happened to the $1 million? You said the last time, this not have you in mind, it's still the Parks Department.
It was it was supposed to be $1 million allotted to this project.
In the first, I'm saying first information, but like I said, there was some prior ones, but they never said they had money. So this first one that the Parks Department put on. Now, have you in mind, they're doing several of these input meetings all over the city in certain parks, right? So there's a bunch of them that's going on, input meetings. But I asked them, like, we have one already. And I brought it up. And I asked her, like I said, got emails that I've been communicating with certain people. I threw names out there. Do you know this person? They're saying no. I said, well, they worked for the Parks Department and they did the previous input meeting. And at that meeting, they had said that, and it was really advertised as there being $1 million earmarked to restore Queensbridge Baby Park. Well, so I know the pandemic happened. But where is the money? And so I asked them about it. The people that's doing this one tomorrow didn't seem to know anything about it. This guy was really, I felt kind of bad in the end because he really was clueless to everything that I was saying about the existence of previous meetings. My PowerPoint, which I sent, it's like I sent it to him. And he was surprised that, like you said, I got blueprints and I got these suggestions and stuff. And I said, in the email that I sent, I said, these are some of the inputs that came out of the meeting. I said, our community has spoken already on this issue. So I don't know why we're still having input meetings. We gave input, but none of it has been even, addressed. Even like, okay, that was a good idea. Nothing was ever said about it. So anyway, so this is tomorrow at 6:30. They're having a Zoom meeting, I guess. And they're gonna look for input again. I asked to be on the bill to speak, like, so hopefully I could. I already gave them a heads up of what I'm going to say, as far as like what happened with the last input meetings and why we're still having input meetings and not really getting to the part where we are putting this thing into, like, I'm willing to help. You see, I got a PowerPoint. I'm quite capable of making a plan and putting, what we can do some research of what it would cost if we need that to happen, it's a lot to this, Al. Like I said, I've been really,
Absolutely. You know
I've
what
been
I'd
really
appreciate
frustrated.
to, if you attend that Zoom meeting tomorrow, if you can give me a copy of that meeting or the transcripts of that meeting, I'd appreciate it.
I don't even know how to do that, Al. But if you do, how do you get a transcript or something? We're
Well, I
talking
said,
about the possible,
like,
huh?
if you can, you know,
Because I would have got it from the other ones if I knew how. Because evidently I didn't, I knew the one with the $1 million. I knew.
with this Zoom thing, there's a lot you could do with this that people don't even have a clue. And what I just
Yeah,
went
when you're the
through right
host.
now, I just figured this out in the
I
last
was gonna
24
say,
hours or so.
when you're the
And I was
host,
just fooling with this picture thing before you came because I wasn't sure how I was going to do this. And
but Al, when you're the host though, you have a lot of that access. But when you're just attending, we don't have
yeah,
that kind of access to manipulate it,
right,
to add things to it. It's
right.
really the host's thing, So that's probably what's going to happen. Is like I said, I may not have a whole lot of control, but I will try to keep good notes or whatever about what is said at the meeting because I'm curious. And like I said, I've been doing this for so long. Like I said, even Jimmy Brammer had way back when the Parks Commissioner said that the land was contaminated, right? So I was trying to get someone to do a survey of the land and test it to see if what he's saying is true. And Jimmy had allocated money for that to happen. The problem with city council money is that when we get it, it doesn't come to us. It goes to people like NYCHA. It goes right to the person that we're charging with the responsibility of cleaning up stuff. So it goes either to the Parks Department or it went to NYCHA. I don't know where the money went, but it never went to the project of surveying that land and finding out. And I even thought about getting a outside college, somebody, like from a college program to do it. Go over there and assess that land
Yeah.
and see if it's contaminated. So like I said, a lot has been going on. I've been like I said, it's been kind of frustrating because, it seems like I'm taking 2 steps and a whole bunch backwards, 2 steps forward and a whole bunch backwards.
When
And
dealing with the government and dealing with NYCHA and the city, it's always a whole lot of BS. I call it BS.
and and
It's not
I have
necessary.
I have to say something though, that people may not even like. I don't care at this point. But another problem is like we got all these like community organizations out in Queensbridge that just seems to not want to come together on any single project issue and let's work together because there's strength in numbers. There's no way in the world I should be going through this alone with the city and the city council and the city planning commission.
That you would bring that up because I was thinking the same thing, and from we've been going.
So it ain't like I went to these people now and asked, like, yo, this is, let's do this, So one of the people, what's the name that does Bless the Corners and stuff, he just does some more separate thing, back there, gardening, fair and good. You let them have the gardening, but again, the land, I let them know the land they said was contaminated. So I don't know how good of an idea this whole thing of doing the garden back there when we never even addressed whether that land's contaminated or not. We never had it assessed. So I tried to give a heads up on that, but that, they went forward. There's also an organization that did a mural on the handball court of some sort, right? No input from residents or nothing, but that happened. And they had this thing back there, some event. I don't know what it accomplished or what it did, but it definitely didn't go towards the cause of getting that park cleaned up and getting that money to restore it. I have heard nothing of the sort. And like I said, you got organizations that we just can't come together to one accord and stick on the project. All that could be encompassed in
Yeah.
our demands.
You know,
Demands.
that's a bigger issue with our people. And I don't know if you want to say it's our generation or whatever, but
I don't know what
it's
that
like
is.
Black agenda. Like we have too many agendas. We need to come together on one agenda and stop having everybody doing their own thing. And there's strength in numbers. And when people come together as a group and do things instead of one person over here
I
doing
think it
something, over there doing something.
It has a lot also to do with integrity, people's trust, people, like it has a lot. We are some untrusting people. We don't trust nobody. Everybody's out to get above. Everybody's out for their own. So they never trust, even when we had our organization out, that we still have it, Queensbridge Old Timers Committee. Remember, we changed our name to Queensbridge United, and we tried our best to try to get these people to come together and let's do some stuff in this community as in unity, as one on, several organizations, but one purpose, and that's serving Queensbridge residents.
All right, well,
nowhere.
And I'm gonna end this conversation.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the opportunity to voice this. I've been voicing this for, like I said, for many years, and I'm just hoping somebody listens to it, maybe ear fall on their ear that could give some suggestions on how we could really move forward.
Make sure that this is, I'm kind of very glad that this is the first interview, and it's going to be the first interview on my podcast, because I'm going to do everything in my power to get this out to the public. This and other things that I'm going to discuss, like the school to prison pipeline. That's one of the main things I'm going to be discussing, how our children are being treated in schools, and how they're being just basically warehoused and being set up to either work a minimum wage job or go to jail. It's like most of the kids are not going to have too many choices. It's either going to be work a minimum wage job or go to jail. And it's like, that's what these schools seem to be setting up for our children. And everybody knows
not just the schools, Al, it's the whole system. Remember, I'm a victim of the system myself. But I managed to really turn that around. That.
Yeah.
But I do have some talents, and I used to run all kind of groups and trying to break that cycle, and try to get these guys to realize, that it's a trap, and get out of the mentality like you can't do better, that this is your manifest destiny or something, and it's crazy. But I spent a lot of time doing that too, Al. So yeah, I'm looking forward to those conversations
we'll
too.
talk some more, and we're going to cover some more of these topics. And I'm going to, I'm, like I said, I'm so glad that you took the time out to do this with me and be the first one to do it. I really appreciate you. I love you, your family. Yep. Like I said, my brother. We go back so far, like 60 years or more. We go back a long way, and I'm so glad that you are available to do this with me. So we're gonna talk some more. This is not going to be the only interview. We're gonna have some more discussions, and I appreciate your time.
All right, bro. Thank you.
Love you, man, and you have a good night.
Love
man.
You too.
So that's my first interview with a very good friend of mine, and I'm really looking forward to doing a lot more of these segments and these interviews, and hopefully, I'll develop an audience and people will pay attention to some of the things that we're going to be talking about. Because we're going to be talking about some very important things. Not so much talking about people, but talking about situations. We're trying never to talk down or talk bad about anyone. We'll be discussing a lot of controversial issues. So with that,